Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Emma and today I'm going to be rating the Sims 3 expansion packs. I've been playing The Sims 3 for so long now. I think I started playing it when I was in year 7. So for any non-UK people out there, that means that I was about 12. I think I got it for my 12th birthday. And it's a game that I keep coming back to. I don't even want to know the amount of hours that I've clocked in on this game. So I definitely know it well. There are some expansion packs that I know the ins and outs of. There are a couple that I just rarely play. So we'll be looking through these, and obviously these opinions are subjective. This is just my opinion. If you disagree with anything I say on here or agree with me, please let me know down in the comments. So the rankings are as follows. The top tier is the iconic tier. These are games that are classic, that it's almost not worth playing the game without. The second tier is the must-have category. This is reserved for expansion packs that really add so much to the game that they're definitely worth buying, and I would recommend anyone to buy, but they're not quite as high quality as the iconic games. The third category is that it adds something. So it's worth getting, but don't worry about it if you don't have it. And I don't always necessarily play with these expansion packs. Rarely play is quite obvious. I rarely play these packs. And when I do, I don't get that much out of them. Sometimes they'll have a couple of really nice features that I like, but in general, I probably wouldn't play it. The final category is, can I get a refund? This is a category for any of the Sims games that I absolutely hate and would genuinely rather be playing without. I might not put any in this category because I'm such a big fan of the Sims 3 franchise, but we'll have to see as we go along. So the first expansion pack that we've got here is Ambitions. Ambitions is a game pack which mainly centers around careers. You have, for instance, the interior design career, you have the fashion designer career, and it adds on to other careers such as the medical career. You can go out and vaccinate people, for instance, in parks, or give them jabs, which I always assume to mean vaccinate. So Ambitions was a great game in terms of, as I said, the careers. I think that it brought a lot of gameplay in as well, because when you just use the base game careers, it's obviously a rabbit hole that your sim goes into, which isn't a bad thing, and I quite like it, because if you have multiple people in a household, it gives you time to kind of rotate between people. If one person's working and one person's not, you can focus your time on someone else. So I like that about the rabbit holes, but there is something to be said for pursuing a career in which you actively have to guide your sim through it. So for instance, the interior design career, you have to go to other Sims houses or other households and refurbish their houses. The sim can't do it on their own, so it's very involved with the creator. Now, not everyone is going to like that kind of gameplay, but it's something that I really appreciate doing sometimes. It's not always useful, but it's definitely worth playing. Additionally, Ambitions came with the Twinbrook world, I believe, which it's not my favourite world, but there are, households in it that I enjoy playing, and there is that marshy kind of aesthetic, foggy aesthetic that they've got in a large part of the town, which, I mean, for certain storylines might be quite fun to play. So I think I'm going to put Ambitions into Add Something. I don't think you need it to play, and I don't necessarily feel like my game would not be as fun if it wasn't there, but I would definitely prefer to have it in the game. So I'm going to put in Add Something. The next one is Generations. Now, this is a very popular pack, mainly because it adds a lot of interactions and activities for some of the lesser focused on age groups, in particular toddlers, children and elders. I really enjoyed Generations because it allowed you to do more with those age groups. So for instance, older people could now use canes to harass the world, which was quite fun. and gives them the feel of being slightly older, which is quite fun to give to an elder maybe halfway through that age bracket, just to give an added element of realism. So Generations, I think I'm going to put that one in iconic. It really did add to the gameplay, and obviously if you're only playing with adults it might not be so relevant, but I think there's few people who only play with adults in The Sims. It's a game where you make families, and you know there's a lot of legacy challenges, and I think it's iconic. Okay, Island Paradise. What to say about this game? Island Paradise came with a beautiful world that just didn't work for me. And when I say it didn't work, I mean that literally. It would freeze my computer every time after about an hour of play, which for me in The Sims isn't that long. It would freeze and ruin the whole game. And if I hadn't saved it, that was it. It was all gone. So Island Paradise had a lot of faults in that sense. However, it also had so much amazing content that if it had worked, it would have been, I think I would have put it in the iconic section, because it was just so amazing. It had in it mermaids, it had the diving skill, which was a very involved skill. That was a very fun one to do. It had, like I said, that beautiful world. You had jet skis, you had sailboats, and it gave you as well the lifeguard career, which I really enjoyed because, again, it was a bit like Ambitions. It was something which came in and gave you a job that, you know, you could leave it to them. I think that was the nice compromise about Island Paradise, is the lifeguard career, you could just leave it to them and they would save people on their own accord, or you could play it as them. So I like the fact that they gave you that option there. I think the problem is I do rarely play it, but only because it doesn't work. I'm going to put it add something. It's not a must-have because it doesn't always work. So, you know, if I was genuinely recommending to someone what games to get, what expansion packs to get, I don't think I would recommend this one purely for that reason. But there's so much going for it that if you have all the other expansion packs, it's definitely worth getting. Even just for the hour of gameplay, I think it's worth it. So I'm going to put it in add something. The next pack is Into the Future. This one, again, struggled a bit on my computer. I think some of the later ones did. I think maybe it's because I had all the other expansion packs installed at the time, or maybe it's just because some of the later ones were a bit buggier, a bit more ambitious maybe. But Into the Future was essentially an expansion pack where you could, as it says on the tin, you could go into the future, which was this whole new world. It could be a normal future, an amazing future where everyone's kind of wealthy and everything's shiny and bright. Or it could be more of a dystopian future where everyone's a little poorer and things are quite run down. Also, one of my favourite features was entered into through this expansion pack, which was the lottery ticket function. Usually my Sims didn't win on it, but when they did, financially they were sorted, and it was fun to kind of play that lottery winner lifestyle. And obviously if you went into the future, you could look up the lottery tickets, which would greatly increase your chances of winning. It also came with the bots. I don't remember, some kind of robots. I don't remember what they were called, but they were really fun to play and to make your own. And you could choose essentially traits for them, but they were like chips, so they would either be a good cleaner, or you know, you could give them sentience, or you could just you could give them a fear of Sims, which was a fun one to play with. So there was a lot in this pack. I think even though there were some technical difficulties with it, I'm gonna stick this one again in add something, because I don't always play it. It's one of those packs you can just easily ignore, because you're not every game you're going to play, not every story you want to tell has got time travel written into it. Well, not mine anyway. So I'm going to put it in add something, I think. Right, Late Night. Late Night was, for me, such a fun game. I really loved the introduction of vampires. Obviously, we had some in Nightlife. I think they were included in Nightlife in Sims 2. And obviously there are vampires in Sims 4 as well here, but I really liked the vampires in Sims 3. I liked how if you had a vampire child, there was a patch that was released that I think they made an error, but they stuck with it, that vampire children learn skills so quickly. And as someone who knows how to cheat the game and skills, but would rather the Sims learn at a specified pace, it was really fun to have a Sim that could learn skills really quickly, and I didn't feel like I was cheating the system. It also came with, I think it was Brooklyn Heights, the world, which I'm not a massive fan of sky rises. I would rather not play in them purely because it's a bit jarring to me to go from like floor 0 to floor 15 and the whole block suddenly rise. It was very difficult to operate the camera, I think, because of that. If you slid too far back, you just disappeared down away from the flat. But there were obviously some storylines that were really useful for that. I'm going to stick Late Night in must-have. It's a game that I would recommend anyone to get if they're playing The Sims. And also there was, I nearly forgot, there was the whole celebrity system, which granted was really annoying at times when you didn't want to play a celebrity and everyone around you is becoming a celebrity, or you get celebrity points for gardening and gaining a gardening skill point, and it didn't always make sense, but it was fun to play if you had that particular storyline in mind. So I'm sticking with my must-have categorization for that one. Okay, Sims 3 Pets. Pets is something that when I'm playing it, specifically focused on that pack, I really enjoy it. I always want to adopt a dog or a kitten. The problem is that once I have them, they kind of just get in the way a lot. They chew up the furniture and they pee everywhere, and it's just irritating day to day. Whereas horses, I think they're much more fun to play with. Given that Sims 3 is the only game that has horses in it out of the 4 Sims games, I don't think Sims 1 did, I never played that, but it has horses, and that was fun, and it had the whole equestrian career. I really enjoyed that. But like I said, pets popping up everywhere can be really irritating. So I'm going to put it in add something. I think it's definitely worth having in the game. I just think sometimes I don't play with it just because when you don't want to play with pets, it becomes like an annoyance. Okay, I think I'm going to be a bit controversial on this next one, not deliberately, but I am not a massive fan of Sims 3 Seasons. I don't know what it was. I mean, weather is a fun thing to play with, and it definitely adds to the realism. And I remember in Sims 2, I really enjoyed I don't know if it was called Seasons, but I really enjoyed that pack. But in The Sims 3, I think it's because when it's snowing, you can't garden. So if you have a gardening sim, that's that done. You can't access your garden. And it felt like every other day there was a festival, which I wouldn't mind, except for everyone gets a day off on a Wednesday for the festivals, which means if you're trying to advance your career, it's just really inconvenient, and I don't think you can turn that off. I could be wrong. So for me, it was just a hindrance, if anything. Now, having said that, I did play a challenge that was like a zombie apocalypse challenge, where I had one household of 8 adults and I had to keep them alive with no supermarkets and in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. That was fun. And Seasons helped me with that because they couldn't grow food in the winter. It added that extra element of realism. So it's not can I get a refund? I'm going to put it in rarely play because that's the truth. I just don't. Okay, Showtime. I bought Showtime a few years ago. It was one of the last packs I bought, mainly because it was one of the later packs released, but also because it just didn't really grab me. The singing career, I felt like that was so similar to the music career that didn't really add anything for me. The musician career, I think there's also the acrobatic career. Like, I've tried to play it once and I just couldn't get into it. None of it really interested me. It was like the band feature in, I think it was Late Night. You have to go to different venues, and it's like playing Ambitions, the careers and Ambitions. It's just more difficult. There's just a lot you have to do, and none of the careers really sang to me, and I never really wanted to tell my story that way. So I've barely played this. Maybe I should give it another go, I don't know, but I think this is probably going to be the only one that I stick in Can I Get a Refund. There was nothing in it that I really liked. Okay, now on to Sims 3 Supernatural. When I was playing late night, I really enjoyed the vampire feature, as I've said. But in Supernatural, when that came out, I didn't connect with the other types of creatures as much. What was there? There was werewolf, fairy, witch. I think that might have been it. So Supernatural had some fun elements to it. It introduced the moon cycle, which just kind of, it annoyed me a bit, because every full moon zombies would just appear and they'd just beat up your Sims, or they'd eat all your, if you were growing vegetables, they'd just eat them all. So I always had to put a fence around my vegetables after that, my garden. And also, one of the other things that was a bit problematic about it is that if I put NRAS, the mod, on and story progression, the town would just become populated with a load of supernatural creatures, which, it depends on your style of gameplay, but I kind of tend to like the more realistic portrayals of life. And to have a town full of werewolves, Agnes Crumplebottom becoming a fairy, it threw me off a bit. So I don't really know where to put it. Should I put it in rarely play? I think I play it more than that, though. I think I'm going to put it again in add something. It definitely does something. Okay, so Sims 3 University. Again, this is one of those packs that, because it transported you to a whole separate world, it was something I rarely played, because it takes you away from the town where you're kind of developing all these relationships and you're interested in what your neighbours are doing. You lose all that for I think it's like the 3 weeks that you're away at university, which in the game, that's probably enough to take them from young adult to adult, but it's something that they go off to university to do, and they come back, and I don't think their ages change much at all. So it kind of ruins the realism again for me. There are some fun features in university. I don't actively dislike it at all. It can be fun to play with, but I think it's one that I'm going to have to put in rarely play, purely because, again, I do rarely play it. I do rarely include it. In fact, the one feature that I can think of that I really liked in it was that you could use the mobile to enroll in university, but that feature would be disabled if your sim fell pregnant. And before I got mods that told me if a sim was pregnant or not, there's not always an easy way to know if you miss the chimes, for instance. So that's something that I used to use a lot when I had to play my game on mute, was I used to just check the phone to see if she could enroll in university or not. But other than that, I rarely use the features in it. Okay, and finally, I have Sims 3 World Adventures. Sims 3 World Adventures was the first expansion pack to come out, and it was a really interesting one to throw out first because it doesn't really add to the game on a basic level, so on a day-to-day living your Sims' lives in their town. It doesn't really add that much to it, I wouldn't say. But I had so much fun playing World Adventures. I don't always play it, but when I do, it's like playing a whole new game almost, because there's so much extra content. If you go to Egypt, you're exploring all the pyramids. It's like a puzzle that you have to complete, but you're still playing Sims. So I'm going to put World Adventures in must-have. I think it's definitely worth having. I can't see myself playing the game without that one ticked, even though I don't go and travel the worlds that often with my Sims. There's also a lot of features that includes build and buy mode, for instance, which can be really useful additions. So that's my Sims 3 expansion pack tier list. I can see that I've got a nice bit of symmetry going on here. Most of the games, as you can see, I feel add something like they're worth buying. Only one has gone in the iconic tier list, Generations. That's mainly based on the style of play that I like to play, is quite realistic, and that's one of the ones that adds the most to that. Late Night and World Adventures, they are must-haves. They're ones that really... So Late Night, I think, really adds to the game in a lot of ways. So the vampires are really fun, even if they're not so realistic. They're fun to play occasionally. Same is true for World Adventures. I'm not always going to play with that one, but when I do, I have so much fun with it. In the Add Something tier, these are ones that I would definitely recommend buying, but not as urgently as these ones. So that's Ambitions, Island Paradise, Into the Future, Pets, and Supernatural. All definitely worth buying. Add some really interesting gameplay. In the rarely play section, we've got Seasons and University. For the reasons I explained, I just don't play these ones that much. And the only one I've put in Can I Get a Refund is Showtime, because I've played this like 2 times, if that. And I'm not... It sounds bad, I'm so unaware of the features of it, because when I tried to play it those times, there was nothing that grabbed me. So maybe I need to give that one a second chance. But it's definitely going in the Can I Get a Refund category right now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this tier list creation. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to rank, if you want me to rank some of the stuff packs. I don't have all of those, but it would be fun to rank the ones that I do have. And if you have any more Sims 3 videos ideas that you'd like me to look into making, then again, please let me know. And I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye guys.